as we know it, leading key banking customers to drive more value by leveraging Microsoft's capabilities in the data and AI space. Adebisi also has experience leading Microsoft's partnership with strategic software companies and has won multiple awards for leading digital transformation with her partners. Guys, we are actually enjoying the real deal. We're meeting the real people here. Before joining Microsoft, she worked for financial companies such as Goldman Sachs and Barclays, building technology that helps the companies become more efficient. Adebisi is the founder and CEO of Africode, a non-profit organization that provides mentorship to up-and-coming Africans in tech. And we are actually honored to have you here with us, Mrs. Adebisi Oje. How are you doing today, ma?
I'm doing good. It is 7 o'clock on a Saturday here in Texas. So my voice is a little, I just woke up. But it sounds like it's been a very
exciting time.
Yeah, but I'm excited to be here.
Yes, it has. Thank you so much for taking out of your time to actually educate us and share your knowledge with us. Please, you can have the floor, ma.
Sure. All right, let me share my screen. All right, I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you can see it.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much for that introduction. My name, like Lynn said, is Adebisi Oje. I am a sales director at Microsoft. I lead our data and AI team at Microsoft, specifically for capital markets in the US. So I have a team of sales leaders that report to me, and I support that business at Microsoft. I'm also the founder of Africode. As Lynn said, Africode is near and dear to my heart. It's a non-for-profit organization that I started about 9-10 years ago now. And the goal of Africode is to mentor up-and-coming Africans in tech, right? So we pair you one-on-one with somebody like me that's in the industry to help you, right? From career questions to data questions, whatever you have, right? You have somebody to help guide you through that knowledge. Just a quick background about myself. I grew up in Nigeria, born and raised. I went to Nigeria I was in Nigeria up until high school, and then came to the States. Excuse me, water. I came to the States for my university degree. I studied computer science and math. And then I fled into the world of the industry, right? So I worked at Goldman, I worked at Barclays, and I worked at Microsoft. I worked at a partner called Disco. And then I'm back to Microsoft again. So, you know, again, going back to Africode, right, we'll pair you with people like me. It's not just me. I think I'm a big believer in, if you know somebody that is, you know, doing something successful, the likelihood that you're also going to be successful is high. So, you know, for those of you that don't know anything about Africode, check out africode.org. Applications should be starting for our next cohort, probably August, September timeframe. All right, so I've transitioned my career from being a software engineer, which is how I started my career, to being in sales. And I love it. I don't think anyone needs to be pigeonholed into one thing. I think I can do it all, and I try my best to do it all. But today I'm going to be talking about leveraging data and AI to transform our world. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about AI, right? I joined the session a little bit as the last lady, I think her name was Precious, was talking about, you know, leveraging AI, and at Microsoft, right? So this is really going to be talking about, I'm going to be specifically talking about Microsoft services. And so I think from my perspective, data is everywhere, right? If you think of your life 10, 15 years ago, you maybe had a cell phone. But now, a lot of people not only have cell phones, they have watch, you know, you have multiple computers maybe, you have an iPad, you have your work computer, you have your school computer maybe. And then even as you think of industry, right? We're talking about healthcare. recently, the amount of data that we gather over time is increasing. So for me, actually, I know I'm going to build my career in the data space, because there's going to be data, whether we talk about the metaverse, Bitcoin, crypto, healthcare, financial services. The underlying fabric, in my opinion, is data. So data is everywhere, right? And we definitely need data scientists, obviously, to make sense of this data. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is models, cognitive services that Microsoft has already built for you to take action on the data that you have, right? APIs that you can leverage right now to begin to make sense of things that are in your environment, in the world. And so basically what I'm talking to you about is adding smart to your data, a portfolio of APIs and SDKs that enable developers to easily add intelligent services such as vision, speech capabilities to your solutions, right? Again, I'm going to go back to what Precious was saying around healthcare and using OCR, for instance, vision, to read images, right? To scan images from, a patient, right? I'm going to talk about some of those SDKs or APIs that you can leverage to get out that type of information, for you to start thinking beyond just the data or data science, but really quick, applicable APIs that you can use. Before I go on, actually, no, I'm gonna come back to it. Right, I think I've said this. I'm gonna, be talking about Microsoft's cognitive services that would help you understand and interact with audio, text, image, and video. So we'll talk about all cognitive services in just a second. Microsoft's cognitive services, okay, are models that are keeps moving. They're models that are trained using the same deep learning and machine learning techniques that power many of Microsoft products across Microsoft. So what I'm going to show you are things that we use at Microsoft today. The easy to use cognitive services that allow you to focus on your application by easily including the services across platforms through simple REST APIs, right? So I'll give you an example really, really quickly. Let me stop sharing. And I think I can remember how to do this. I think it's yesterday. Alright, I think that might be it. Let me try to show you. Okay, so what you see happening, if you can see my screen, is basically, as I talk, we're leveraging Microsoft's cognitive services to interpret what I'm saying and put it in the chat. Can everyone see like the interpretation, the subtitles, if you will, that's happening as I
speak? We can. Yes, we can.
Yeah. So
yes, we can see it.
So what I'm about to show you are things that we use here at Microsoft that are available. This is PowerPoint, by the way. Like if you have the latest PowerPoint, you also have access to this, right? So as you think about real world applications of things that you are using or things that you're going to use, industry, I work in financial services or in the financial services space, you can leverage these APIs, right? To, really make impact in the world. So Microsoft's cognitive services is a suite of portfolio that cuts across this verticals, if you will, right? So we have our vision APIs, right? Again, think of what Precious said in terms of healthcare, right? So we have vision APIs that can also, they can also read, like we have a form recognizer, for instance, right? That can recognize a form. So I'm going to go back to healthcare. I remember when I was born years ago, I'll go to the hospital and I'll have to fill out a form. And I'm sure there's still places that can do that. And one of the challenges that I've always thought about is how do you digitize what's already been manual? Because you walk into an office, a hospital, and you see so many documents. How do you take that document and put it in the digital world? Microsoft Cognitive Services can make you do that really, really quickly, right? So we have APIs that basically can take a handwritten document and scan it and read exactly what was written and digitize it and store it somewhere in the cloud, for instance. We have speech APIs, right? And that's basically what's being used right now as I speak to you, right? So leveraging speech API, speaker recognition, right? Who's talking? I'm sure PowerPoint knows that this is Adebisi, right? Think of Siri, think of Cortana, and things like that. We have language, right? So spell check, for instance, which I think we're mostly familiar with. I think that's probably one of the earliest version of AI that I remember is spell check, right? You write something and then it kind of corrects your spelling. But when we also think of, analyzing text or language, right? Is somebody happy? What are the emotions around the text, right? When someone's angry, they're like using a lot of, question marks, and they're using a lot of notations. And then also language, right? I'm Yoruba, right? How do you translate between Yoruba and French, for instance? How do we translate rather between English and Igbo? That's something else. And then knowledge, right? Basically, just stored knowledge to help with things like recommendation, right? Adebisi likes to run, so therefore maybe she would like this Nike shoes, something like that. But again, Microsoft Cognitive Services are, as a data scientist, it's an easy place to start. One of the questions that we get at Microsoft is, are these customizable? Yes, they are. We use these things internally at Microsoft, like you're seeing in PowerPoint, but you can also customize them based on the industry, based on the niche that you're in. Okay, so I'll quickly go through the cognitive services. I'm going to go through a demo that's already live on a website, so just to kind of show this in action, and then I'll wrap up with questions. Okay, so Vision API, let me remove this thing. I don't have to go down here. Vision API, basically it's analyzing an image, right? Going back again, so I love what Precious says. Precious, I'm going to keep going back to what you said around, if you were a hospital, how would you analyze an image? You can leverage Microsoft Vision API, right? So if you see the lady at the top, it can quickly tell that there's one person there. The person is an adult, the person is not black, and any other colors that are in the image, right? So you can start to picture what you can use this for. The image in the middle says, a goal without a plan is just a wish, which I agree with. And so again, think about a form or something that has that on paper. How do you translate that how do you digitize that, basically? Again, leveraging Vision API. And then there's this guy that's on the summit. You can kind of see how we're recognizing that. So again, it generates thumbnails, basically. So I want you to kind of just envision the power of this. And one of the things I was thinking about when I thought of this, I was thinking of NEPA or PHCN in Nigeria. And just, I think this is a very good example of how we might be able to leverage Vision APIs for something that could be good in a place like Nigeria. So this is a drone-based electric grid inspector powered by deep learning. It's leveraging Microsoft's Vision API. And basically what this drone is doing is it's hovering over power line inspection, right? To see if there's something wrong with it, right? The way that this has been done previously, at least when I was in Nigeria, is, somebody has to climb off, right? But now we have drones that have a camera, and we can leverage that vision really quickly to go figure out if something's wrong there. And then the drone can come down and we can use that data to analyze and get things done quickly. So that's an example I just wanted to share with you guys. Okay, facial recognition, face APIs basically kind of just shows, who's who in the picture, right? It can kind of group people, it can kind of tell you, this person is 31, it's male. It can also kind of group people, these people are younger, these people are older. It also can identify you as well. This is probably Vision API. When I log into my computer, I actually don't put in my password anymore. My camera can identify that this is Adebisi. And if my husband wants to come here and do the same, it would not authenticate him into my computer. So again, we're using this for authentication. Think about going into work, instead of scanning a badge or whatever you have to do, you can just use your face and then you're through to your place of work. Emotion APIs, right? Are people happy or sad, right? As we're having this amazing conference today, can I tell if people are actually interested in what I'm talking about? The surprise, or if they're bored, right? So we can use the emotion APIs to really tell. I think about this in terms of customer service, right? Especially, or actually, I was reading about something yesterday in an interview. A guy was being interviewed, it was an engineering interview, where he was cheating, right? And they had a technology leveraging emotion APIs to tell what was going on. And there's a kind of face you do when you're cheating. Like there's this very like sterling face that you have. And the thing was able to pick up that he was cheating and was sent out on the visual exam room. So again, another example of how you might be able to leverage something like this. Video API, right? I think of security when I think about this, right? Is somebody coming into my space, my home, that's not supposed to be there. How can you detect this, right? So again, you can leverage Microsoft's API, Vision API for something like this. Speech APIs. I love speech APIs because it's easy for me to demonstrate, because that's literally what's being used right now. So translating my speech to text is what we're seeing happen as I speak today. But there's also speaker recognition, right? Recognizing who's speaking, right? So there's an app, and I don't know the name, that when you're having a conference, right, or maybe when you're having a meeting, let's say with 5 people, and it knows everyone that's in the room, it basically takes note of what was said during the meeting, right? But it says Adebisi said this, Lola said this, George said this, Emeka said this, right? And it kind of recognizes who's speaking and takes notes based off the person that's speaking. You can think about this in education. Think about this in terms of a classroom, right? If you can go into a classroom and just listen and not have to take notes, and then come out of the classroom with a manuscript, if you will, of what happened in the classroom, with who said what, that could be really, really impactful in terms of education. Like I said, we can customize some of the stuff, right? So usually what you have to do is very similar to if you have an iPhone, or if you've leveraged Siri before, you record your voice a couple of times. Again, leveraging machine learning and deep learning, it's going to be able to figure out who you are over time and then adapt to that, right? So you can kind of customize this as often as you want. Spell check APIs. I think we're all familiar with this, like I said, but it's really allowing you to recognize a variety of spelling errors. I would always own up to not being the best speller. Without spell check, I don't know where Adebisi would have been. So I really recognize or leverage spell check APIs. Again, I think about leveraging this in education, but also think about industries that have specific lingo, right? So I think about healthcare, for instance. I don't know, my sister's a doctor, but there's so many things that they say that I don't understand, right? And so you can create a database of words, right? And allow it to identify those words as actual words. Even if in English, you're not going to say, whatever the word is, I don't know what it is, right? So you can kind of create a spell check database, if you will, right? So if you see the word like Adebisi, for instance, it's an English word. I like how it calls me ABCD. if you see like a Yoruba word or whatever, you can kind of group that together, and you can up with spell check, right? So don't think about it just for English, which is I think we're familiar with. Think about it for Hausa, think about it for Igbo, Yoruba, other languages, and not just English necessarily. Web language model API, right? I think we probably, hopefully, are familiar with this. But when you think about, Google or Bing, I know most people are familiar with Google, but also Bing, being able to recognize or predict, right? Leveraging natural language processing, what the person might be typing, right? So I'm actually beginning to see this in my email already, right? So, why is my boyfriend so mean? He'd be ignoring me, he'd be inconsiderate, right? When you start the sentence that way, based off maybe all the things that you've been doing, right? It can kind of predict maybe what you're trying to ask as well. So web language model API can help you with that. And then LUIS, when I think of LUIS, Language Understanding Intelligence Service, we call it LUIS here at Microsoft, it's a short form. I think usually of bot services, right? Bots, on a computer, or like when you go on a website, or I think about this specifically for customer service, right? Being able to understand what users are saying and to understand and determine intent, right? So if I'm talking to Zenith Bank over a chat window, first of all, usually I'm being deployed to some automated person or some automated system. And you can leverage LUIS for that to help you understand, like, is this person trying to talk to the banking sector? Are they trying to talk to the support sector? Are they trying to talk to technology? Like, what exactly is the problem? Are they having an issue with their checking account, their savings account? Is it a transfer issue? Are they trying to collect money from us? Like, what exactly is happening? LUIS can help rather with determining intent and detect entities, like who's involved in all of this and who should be involved. Who should we transfer the call to? Who should we transfer the chat to? So that some person can take action on what's actually being built, or what the conversation is happening right now. Entity linking service. This is a good example of being able to identify when there's like a mention of a name or some type of entity, and kind of double clicking on what that entity could provide. Again, I think about this in the medical field. If there's like a name of a person, is a good example, and just kind of figuring out what their pedigree is, like what are they known for, what else have they done, or even like words that are very hard to say, or words that are very hard to define, by being able to just click on that kind of figure out like what the definition, for instance, of that word is. Knowledge exploration service is basically just a database that you can kind of put together for exploring knowledge. Again, I think about this in healthcare specifically, right? Drawing insights from your data, helping you to search and browse, rank and recommend, and showcase basically academic work. I think about this in terms of healthcare. I think about this in PhDs, academic work, research type of work. So what are the top publications for a subject? What are the experts? What are the what activities are taking place? Things like that. You can kind of create a knowledge base and explore the data. Okay, so that's a preview. We have a lot more cognitive services at Microsoft, but that's kind of a preview of some of the cognitive services. They're all APIs that are available on Azure. Azure is Microsoft's cloud. And so what I'm going to do, if I can, is I'm going to just quickly take you to this website. I didn't build anything. I used to be technical, but those days are now far beyond me. So this is for anybody to leverage. So if you go to azure.microsoft.com/cognitive services, it'll land you on this page, right? You can go try the cognitive services out for free. Obviously, you have to have an Azure account, and Microsoft does offer $200 Azure credit for you to be able to start to try on some of this. There are also videos online, like you can go search on videos on how to get started with a lot of these things. But what I want to show you specifically are, I talked about speech, I talked about language, vision. There's also decision, which is where the knowledge kind of comes in. And there's now something called an open API. But I wanted to show you, some of the things that we have available online that you can be able to speak. So this is speech to text. This is basically the same exact technology that's being deployed in Microsoft PowerPoint today, right? So it's going to do exactly, let's make sure this works. Oh, how do I do it? Where is it deleting? Oh, all right. So as I talk, it's going to record what I'm saying. It's going to write out what I'm saying. And you can see that's pretty accurate. Again, this is the exact same technology that you have available to you today to leverage that's being used at Microsoft today. So I just wanted to see you try it out. What's also really cool is we don't have Yoruba or Hausa, which I thought was annoying. So I'm gonna go request this at Microsoft. Somebody has to go work on it. But let's see, I don't know, there might be some French speaking people on the call. What's really cool is that, let's stop it. Start again. It's going to start translating what I'm speaking to French, right? All right, so I'll say welcome, for instance. This should work. Just make sure. All right, so it's picking up my language, but I want to change this language to French. Hello. All right, so yeah, as you can see, it's picking up. I'm putting it in French. There's one word that I know in French. It is welcome to data scientist. I don't know what's going on here. All right, so maybe this is broken. Yeah, I don't know. When you're trying to demo something, it doesn't work. Okay, I'm gonna go back to text to speech and kind of just show you guys how that works. So text to speech basically takes whatever text you've put over here and you convert it into can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
We can hear
yes,
you.
All right, someone's calling me from Africa, so I wasn't really sure. Text to speech, I can write to text and then it'll speak it out. So I am really enjoying it. Okay. And I saw a Nigerian voice yesterday, which I really loved. Let's find this thing. It's really cool. It's not like an Emeka kind of voice. I'm going to find this. Very, very. Yes, Nigeria. Yes. Yes. All right. So I am really loving. Let's go. See, so we can spell. Can you spell check? Loving this talk. Right, and then it can translate.
I am really loving this talk.
It can translate whatever's being written to. So you think about disability, people that cannot necessarily read but can hear, right? That's an example of where this type of API could be used. There's also a lady as well.
I am really loving this talk.
So I don't know if she's Nigerian. Let's give it to Microsoft to try. All right, so speech translation as well, right? You can translate between one speech to the other, right? So the source is English and it can translate it to Finnish, for instance. So it's speaking. I don't know if anybody here understands Finnish. I think maybe more people might understand French. I was presenting this to a customer last week and they were Chinese and they actually thought it was pretty good. So let's try French. Yeah, this is awesome. I don't know, like if you I think I know what. So it kind of translated what I said to French. So if you speak French, again, think about having a conference. I travel a lot for work. I travel internationally, right? I go to China, for